Thank you so much for having me here this evening. Karen gave you the long list of everything that I've done. But I wanted to start off this evening by telling you, so who is this chick standing in front of you, right? Who is this person that's going to talk to you tonight? I've worked with children from the time I was a teenager myself, which is actually about 20 years ago, and it does hurt me to say that, believe it or not. I've worked in social services, lobbied government for better daycare. I've spoken on children's rights across New York State, and I am proud to say that I have been employed as a New York State teacher in public education for 12 years now. I have taught almost every grade, K through 6. I am a holistic teacher who strives to educate, enlighten, and empower my students on a daily basis, because the bottom line is that I believe childhood is too precious to ignore. If there's one thing I know, it's definitely kids. I want to start off tonight by asking you, how many of you, yes, this is interactive, really think that we listen to our children? Do you think we listen to them? Come on, just give me a show of hands. Do you listen to the kids? Do you listen to your own kids? I'll tell you, when I first became a teacher, within my first couple of years, I thought that I certainly listened to kids. Until one day, I had moved from 3rd grade in an inner city school to 1st grade in Ballston Spa. And at the time, the children were coming from a half-day program into a full-day 1st grade. Now, if you know anything about that, they're 5 and 6 years old, and they have a lot of energy. And I wasn't used to that because I was accustomed to inner-city kids in 3rd grade. So the first week of school, guess what we have? A fire drill. And my kids, of course, were practically running out the door. I was mortified, thinking, oh my God, I'm a new teacher in this district, and they're going to think I have no control whatsoever. So I'm trying to round my kids up, and I'm saying, get in line, hurry up, come on you guys, stand up straight, shush, shush, shush. And I have this one little boy looking at me saying, Miss Scalzo, that was my name back then, before I met my wonderful, terrific husband. There you go, honey. You feel better now? And this boy is going, Miss Scalzo, and of course, my reaction is, Nick, shh, get in line. And he's like, I take 2 more steps, and he goes, but Miss Scalzo, Mickey, get in line. By this point, I am like fuming, because my class is the only class that's noisy during this fire drill. So what do? We go inside, call them over to the meeting place, ready to read them the riot act. I sit them all down and I say, boys and girls, it is very, very important that we are quiet during the fire drill. When we go outside, yada-da-yada-da-yada-da. And just like Charlie Brown, that's what they were hearing. Wah, 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 wah. All of a sudden, I smelled a horrible smell. So I stopped in mid-sentence and I said, and what is that awful smell? Little Mickey raises his hand with a sarcastic look on his face. I tried to tell you were going to step in dog poop. True story. So, of course, the whole class was hysterical, and I was laughing too. Until a few minutes later, when I felt the tears well up in my eyes. And the tears welled up in my eyes because in that moment, I was forever changed. I realized in that moment that I did not listen to Mickey. And I sat back in my chair, and I wondered, how many other times did I not listen to my children? How many times was I so focused on getting that curriculum done for the day that I didn't listen to something that was really important to them? And so that's kind of where my story begins. It changed my perspective. As I said in the beginning, childhood is too precious to ignore. When you think about it in terms of our life, we live maybe 70, 80 years. I'd like to go to 100 as long as I look good. Childhood really goes to puberty. So it's not that long of a time period, is it? Seems a little bit insignificant. But in reality, it is the most critical time of our life. So now I want you to think of your life, not as a life, but as a building. I know, this is a little stretch, but I'm trying here. If we create a building in our society, we need to begin by first starting with a blueprint. Is that true? Mm-hmm. And then we have to make sure that everything measures up. Most important part of building building or creating a building is the foundation, is it not? So if you look at our lives as creating a building, then the foundation is therefore our childhood. When I think of childhood and that means, I start to think, wow, we have a huge responsibility on our hands now. Because everything that happens in childhood makes a huge difference. It's not like Vegas. You can't say what happens in childhood stays in childhood, because it doesn't. It's really where we make our mark. I found a poem that I absolutely loved, and I know that many of you have probably heard it, but I'm going to read it to you, because it's pretty powerful. Children learn what they live. If a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. If a child lives with hostility, she learns to fight. If a child lives with fear, he learns to be apprehensive. If a child lives with pity, she learns to feel sorry for herself. If a child lives with ridicule, he learns to be shy. If a child lives with jealousy, she learns what envy is. If a child lives with shame, he learns to feel guilty. Are those good things to start a foundation off with? Probably not. If a child lives with encouragement, she learns confidence. If a child lives with tolerance, he learns to be patient. If a child lives with praise, she learns to be appreciative. If a child lives with acceptance, he learns to love. If a child lives with approval, she learns to like herself. If a child lives with recognition, he learns that it is good to have a goal. And if a child lives with sharing, she learns about generosity. If a child lives with honesty and fairness, he learns what truth and justice are. If a child lives with security, she learns to have faith in herself and in those around her. If a child lives with friendliness, he learns that the world is a nice place in which to live. If we live with serenity, children around us live with peace of mind. My message for you today, my call to action, is that we start viewing childhood as the most precious time period that we can ever have. We see a great deal going on in our society today. We talk about bullying all the time. And I wonder if we were looking at those children differently, starting at a very young age, if we were taking the time to see the beauty within them, to see the light within, which is my children's book in the back, check it out. Just had to get that in. Maybe things would be different. And I'm sure that my principal knows what's coming next, because I say this line all too often. It's important for us to first touch their hearts before we teach their minds. I hope you guys keep that with you. Have a good night.